Hello everyone and welcome to Skinterviews. My name is Nathan Strong and this is
George Scandalis.
How are you tonight, George?
Oh, I'm living the quarantine dream. How are you doing, Nathan?
Doing the same thing, mate, and I'm really excited about our guest tonight. This man he's a bit of a legend in our industry.
Yeah.
He has a great sense of humor. And there's a lot to love about this guy. He has a lovely clinic out in Edmonton. And every year they host this amazing gala. And I was lucky enough to go to it last year. And this gala goes for 3 days. And the amount of patients that go through his clinic in that time is just absolutely unreal.
What did you wear?
Sorry?
What did you wear to the gala?
What did I wear to the gala? Well, I took it pretty easy. It was a breakfast at Tiffany's theme, so I wore just a normal sort of business suit. But the staff at his clinic get all dressed up for it, and it's a really exciting 3 days, and it happens around the September-October period. So hopefully we're going to be all out of isolation by then. And if you're in the Edmonton area, I really think you should look up Lucere Derm and Laser Clinic and get down to this gala because it's very, very impressive and it's a lot of fun.
Well, I'm glad you thought to go today because I'm on an invite.
Well, it's probably worth a trip out, George. We should probably go to. You can be my date.
Really?
Yeah.
What we got to wear matching outfits.
We could do that. I wonder. You know what? We might get a sneak preview into what the theme's going to be this year, and we've got a few months to work it out.
We're gonna ask. I'm so asking. All right. Well, bring him in.
Let's bring him in. So without further ado, I will bring him out. Tonight we're lucky to have Dr. Zaki Taher.
Hey, how you guys doing?
How are you?
I'm good. Oh, I love it. This is awesome. This is the best moment of quarantine, actually. Jeez.
I'm going to have to get you a Netflix subscription and give you show recommendations. I mean, I love Nathan, but there's a lot better things you could be watching.
That's funny. Hey, you know what's crazy and awesome about live? Anything can happen. So you're going to see
the car that just pulled in
pop out right now, right behind my head. It's like a genie.
Who it's going to be.
Yeah.
Right, before we get into the interview, I just want to cut right to the chase from that intro. One, I want an invite to the gala.
Done.
Two, what is the theme? Are you gonna do the explanation right now?
You know what? That's the big reveal. Yeah. Like and follow at Lucere Skin on Instagram.
Oh, that was a good plug. That was a good plug. Bravo, right there.
Could we jump in a little bit and maybe later in the year, could we get you in on an exclusive interview and maybe announce the theme for the first time on our show?
That would be wicked. I'd love that. That's nice.
We would love to host that show.
Let's do that, man.
You know what? We could do a live Skinterviews at the event. I love how I'm taking over your event.
Let's totally do it. That's awesome. Yeah.
Wait, are we ready? Are we ready to get into this?
Yeah, for sure. Let's do it.
So Skinterviews is all about getting to know you. I mean, you as a business owner and a business manager, I'm going to assume you already have a strong presence out there in social media, and everyone gets to know your professional side and your practice and the great things you guys are doing out there. What we want to get to know on the show is all about you and what led you to getting there. I want to know all different aspects of your life. So I'm going to take you back to day one.
Sure. Oh, yeah, that's easy.
You first cry and your parents decide to name you. I want your full birth name.
Okay, my first, Zaki Taher.
Zaki Taher. And were you named after someone specifically, or is there any meaning or relevance to your name?
Yeah, I was actually misnamed because my first name means intelligent. I don't know how I got that name, but that's my name. Middle name, I don't know. But no, actually, my parents had a friend. My dad was actually here. He was doing his PhD at the University of Alberta at the time, and he had a good friend who made the recommendation for the name.
I like that. I feel bad that my parents didn't name me Zaki now all of a sudden, right? Like, George sounds like I'm a farmer, but I mean, I could be a royal baby. We don't know. So from what I just heard, your dad has a PhD. He's a doctor as well?
No, so yeah, he's the PhD poor hungry doctor type. So he did his PhD in economics, get it? PhD poor hungry doctor. And he's retired now, but he actually worked for about 27 years with the provincial government, with the government of Alberta in oil and gas. And yeah, he was their chief economist when oil and gas did really well around here. Things are different, I guess. But
And do you have any siblings?
I do. I am the youngest of three, and my two older brothers live in town as well. They're both doctors as well. They kind of modeled good things for me to be, and they really inspired me to do what I did in the end.
Do you guys compete with each other?
You know, honestly, we're helpful to each other. I'm a bit of a brat for sure. I found, until 2 years ago, I actually thought my oldest brother was my mom's favorite, but then 2 years ago, I realized hands down I was the favorite the whole time. And I realized I got away with a lot of nonsense growing up, tons. And my brothers are angels, though they never got in trouble for anything. But I was the guy who who caused trouble.
And what about yourself? Are you married with kids yet?
I am. Yeah.
Sorry to jump.
Yeah. So I'm married. My wife and I have three, and I have a daughter with my ex as well. So I have four kids. My oldest, she is just about to turn 11. And she's really super smart and super on top of things. And even though her birthday's about a month and a half away, actually it's just a few weeks away from today. But a few weeks ago, she brought it up, and I said, "Okay, so can I just get what I want to get you?" She's like, "No, I want to help you choose." So I was literally on Amazon while we were Skyping because she's in Toronto, and she walked me through exactly what she wanted. And I came up with the most amazing thing. So all this time, for all these years, going back and forth. So I'm in Toronto. Toronto's like a second home to me. We figured one thing out where anytime she wanted to buy a toy, I said sure, but you got to buy a book with it. So this is since she was like 2 years old.
That's awesome.
Literally,
Smart.
yeah.
Smart.
When she was walking me through what she wanted, it was literally a book set and some toy, like a little toy that she wanted to get. So that was pretty cool. Stuck. It was a parenting trip, huh?
That's a good one. I might use that with my two little girls. So we must say congratulations to you because you have a newborn at home, don't you?
That's right. Yeah, that's why I'm here and not at home.
So
waiting over there.
So you must be dying for this corona to lift off, so you can just spend more time at work.
Oh yeah, that's yeah. It's yeah. No, she's a good girl. It's for sure my wife, Isan. She is an absolute rock star. This child is so bonded to her. I brought up yesterday that I don't know if this kid likes me yet, but I'm sure she'll. But she's yeah.
I'm a big fan of the dads come into their own once the baby's like 12 to 18 months. That's when the dads can start having some fun.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So it sounds like you were the character of the family amongst your brothers. So tell us a little bit about elementary school and what it was like growing up.
Yeah, so I was actually born in Edmonton, but when I was a year old, we moved to Nigeria. So when we moved to Nigeria, we were there for a few years, and I came back in time for grade 1. And it was funny because it was called nursery school back in Nigeria. They had the British system, and I has my picture in nursery school was interesting because it's a whole bunch of African faces. So you have all these black kids, and then me, one brown kid, and then you have my grade 1 picture when we moved to Edmonton, and it's all these Caucasian faces and me, the one brown kid. Actually, there were a couple others too, but it was really funny. I was like, oh, I kind of stand out wherever I go. But that was a lot of fun, and elementary was good. I grew up in South Edmonton in a neighborhood called Mill Woods. Kind of a simpler place, sometimes not the best neighborhood in town. But I grew up with everything I ever needed. It was awesome. And my brothers they're a few years older than me, and they were already in junior high. So like I said, I was lucky to have them. They really modeled a lot of great behaviors and mindsets for me. And I had parents who totally gave me everything I ever needed. So I'm definitely blessed from day one. I had everything I wanted. I thought I was the richest kid in the world, and like was not even close to that. And life was awesome, man. It was good.
So, what was the dream growing up? Was it always to be a physician?
You know what? It's no. It's interesting. I have a bit of, I'd say I'm almost oppositional defiant. So a little bit of me, it's like growing up, my parents actually would be careful not to tell me to study, which is not common for East Indian households. Or it's always, where's your 99? Why 99%, not 100%, or go study. But my parents were actually, they were really good, and if they ever told me to study, I wouldn't. So they learned not to tell me to study. But for sure, my brothers had a lot more influence on me to say, hey, get to work or work harder or this or that. And no, it was pretty straightforward. I think we had a chance to experience a lot of things growing up.
And were your brothers your heroes, or were there other heroes that you had growing up?
Oh, that's a good question. It depended on the stage of life I was at. Like there were some times when it was actors. Like my favorite movie was Braveheart. So
Yeah.
for a long time, Mel Gibson was my hero. I think he's cool. Athletes growing up, I was a big basketball fan. I actually thought I was very convinced I'd make it to the NBA. Very convinced. And then it's weird when no one corrects you, you actually think you have a chance. So that's another thing. That's another lesson in life. Just
Yeah.
make people whatever if they're misguided. I was clearly very misguided. But no, I played a lot of basketball. I wasn't superb, but I tried to stay active with that. And no, it was really, yeah. It was so Hakeem Olajuwon was my favorite basketball player. Talking about heroes, and I loved Michael Jordan too. He was great.
Are you watching the recent documentary on Jordan?
You know what? I'm keeping it to binge watch because I know all I'm seeing is little memes coming out about Dennis Rodman and some of the interesting things. So I can't wait to watch it. But yeah,
Yeah, I haven't watched it yet, but I've heard it's absolutely brilliant.
oh yeah, and he
Yeah,
was he was such an interesting guy, right? So
yeah.
just the best at what he.
So, yeah, so funny stories. Like, have you got any funny stories from your childhood or your youth?
Funny stories, I don't know. It's weird. Funny stories to me, I think like a 12-year-old kid, even to this day. So they all involve like barfing or peeing my
We
pants.
want to hear them. We want to get to know the real you.
I'll tell you a great story. So I was in grade 2, and my brother was in junior high. And what's really interesting is even though we were pretty high achievers through school, our friends tended to be kind of the tougher kids in school. So side story to my side story. So in junior high, one of my good friends, his name was Cameron, who was like the toughest kid in school, got kicked out all the time. And I really wanted to try smoking. And it was amazing because he said, you know what, Zaki, you're a good kid. Don't smoke like me. So I've actually never smoked a proper cigarette, a cigar maybe, but yeah, never like a regular cigarette. And it was him. This kid would get into trouble all the time, suspended all the time. Literally, as his friend, he looked out for me for some reason and said, "No, you're not going to smoke." But getting back to my side story, so I was in grade 2, and my brother was in junior high, and his friend was one of the toughest kids in the junior high they went to. And the junior high they went to was pretty rough, anyways. Again, in the woods in our kind of tougher part of this of that part of town. And so here's this really cool, tough guy, my brother, and me. And in Edmonton, October, the Halloween gets to be pretty cold. So sometimes we have snow, and in fact, it's usually the day we get snow in Edmonton, if not sooner. So not only did we have snow, it was snowy, it was cold, it was icy, but I was having a blast, the best time of my life. And I had to go pee. But here I am with my brother and his buddy, and I didn't want to be the kid who says I need to go pee. We're in the middle of nowhere looking for candy, and so I just yeah, I had a very cold, icy set of pants by the end of the night. Yeah, I had to save face, so I run with it. Got to run with the adjust to the times.
Do you know you're not the only doctor who admitted to peeing his pants on Skinterviews?
There's a theme. That should be a regular question then, I guess.
I want to know though, have you peed your pants as an adult?
You know what? Thankfully not. I haven't. No, no, no. It's
For,
so
for
far.
a moment there, you're like, well,
If this counts, there was that time. No,
were you bullied growing up?
no. And that's the coolest thing. Like I've been fortunate all through junior high and high school. I managed to be either highest or close to the top marks. And so I was kind of nerdy growing up, but my friends were all kinds of backgrounds. And I had a lot of, tougher kids. And, it was kind of like nerd chic. I think I started it myself, actually. Now it's all the rage. You got to be a nerd to be cool. But I think I was the first one where all these so I was lucky never to be bullied, actually. I'm
Amazing.
extremely lucky. Yeah.
Tell me about your first love.
Oh,
First person you fell in love with, where are they today?
totally. I don't even want to know. That's how I think I just fell off the screen.
No, you're still with us.
Oh, you are? Okay. Sorry. I think.
Are you avoiding the question, Doctor?
I wonder if I am. You know what? I'm going to get back on. What format? What's it, guys? Sorry.
It's on StreamYard.
StreamYard. Sorry. I will answer your question. It just popped off. Oh, jeez.
We can still see you and hear you.
You can? I'll just keep going. I just can't see myself or see you guys. But I can keep going and pretend I do.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, all right. Sorry about that. Yeah, geez, this is the beauty of technology. All right. Well, this is fun.
All right.
Yeah. I'm looking with no organization right now, but I'll figure it out.
All right. In the meantime.
Yes. The question I was avoiding. You know what? Out east. That's as much as I'll say.
Out east. That's it. Period.
Okay. Out east. But
do you remember your first?
Mm-hmm.
And was it awkward? Tell us a story about it.
Oh man, awkward. Beyond awkward. I didn't know what I was doing. It was hopeless. I was like, this might be the last time ever. Yeah. That's the funny thing about first loves. They tend to be the first kiss too. So out east, awkward.
Leave it at that. We'll leave it.
Oh, you know what? I gotta say, but listen, that's the best part about life, right? Life is love and having it, and I gotta say, it's a great question. Great question. Yeah.
Your first celebrity crush?
Oh, it was actually the same person. Just kidding. No, it was. You know what? I have documentation, and it's weird because when I think of, because I'm answering your question as what seems to be factually true based on evidence. So apparently, I wrote down when I was in Bangladesh for my that's where my parents are from. For my cousins, they actually had a little questionnaire that I filled out when I was 10 years old. And my first crush, it actually said, which Hollywood actress is the most beautiful? And I wouldn't put that down necessarily, but it was Julia Roberts. But I think when I got a little bit older to know who a real crush would be, it was Sharon Stone. That would be it. Yeah.
So you went from Pretty Woman to Basic Instinct real fast.
That's real quick. Yeah, you gotta. Yeah. That's when you grow up, you kind of don't know what's going on, and then you learn everything.
Real quick. All right, let's get a little more interesting here. Yeah. Tell me the last lie you told your children.
Oh man, I lie all the time. As a parent. Can I tell you a bad one that I said?
That's what we want to
know. Yeah. Oh, geez. Do people working for social services watch these things or what?
Not yet.
You know what? It was actually instructional and it was useful, so I don't mind saying it. And I actually corrected myself and I said, because I don't want to give them a complex. I said, don't answer the door, because now they try to answer the door to the front door and unlock it themselves, sometimes without us. So I say, don't unlock the front door or coronavirus will get you. And that was so bad. That was so bad.
But it's so,
So listen, I had
it's
to
so
correct
true.
it. Yeah, well, it's true. So actually, I shouldn't feel so bad, but so the one of them, I think it gave him a bit of a complex where for about 2 or 3 days, he was afraid to go outside at all, even to play for fun. So that was bad. The instruction was bad. That's
Do you have any hidden talents you'd want to share with us?
yeah, hidden. Do I really? What are my hidden talents? Oh, I know one. And I don't know if any of you guys saw it. I know from Vivi, this was at the Cosmetic Update about 3 years ago, where we were on the beach, we were having the beach party. It was a white party, and people had their fluorescent lights on. And so I used to teach karate in the past, and my thing was weapons form. So I was really good with nunchucks. And I was actually nationally ranked, and we'd compete nationally, and I was ranked nationally. So I was pretty good with nunchucks. So anyways, we were on the beach, and we had these little light, kind of like nunchucks, almost like lights on a string or something. So I was on the beach. It was dark, and these things were lit up. And then I started doing some of my moves, and it ended up going pretty well. Actually, it was someone recorded it. People were like, "Whoa, this guy who was good for nothing might be good for something," and it was fantastic. I had a blast. It was nice.
Speaking of hidden talents, I happened to stumble across a very good video on Facebook recently of you and your wife doing some Zumba.
Oh yeah.
I thought you moved quite well in that video.
Oh, I wish. I wish. She's the dancer. She is a phenomenal dancer, and any moment she just can hear any music and just get right into it. I am terrible and an awful dancer, so I try to keep her company. But
So you're hosting dinner.
yeah,
You get to pick 3 people,
yeah,
anyone you like, dead or alive.
yeah.
Who are they and why? And what are you cooking or what are you ordering in?
Nice, man. That's a good question. I would say my three. Donald Trump. Just kidding. I obviously I love Nelson Mandela. I think he's an incredible figure historically. So he's easily one of them. I think I would want historically. Oh, geez, I love that question so much. You see, the harder the question, the more I think, and the more awesome the question. The more Nelson Mandela. I think I would take. There was a guy who kind of inspired me in medicine, Bethune, who was really involved in medicine and with China and Canadian-Chinese relations. I always found him to be a really inspirational story and character as well. And I think I would also choose. Gosh, that's a tough one. Who'd be the third one? Well, there'd be space at the table for the two of you. That's an easy one. That's a real easy one.
We're coming.
Okay.
Cook it.
I'm going to make it easy. Mel Gibson. Mel Gibson.
Yeah.
There you go.
I'm going to bring him up again. I think I'd have him at the table.
We're still coming.
Yeah, you're still invited, man. Yeah, you're welcome.
And so what are you going to cook for us?
I am going to be cooking. I would actually cook, I think. Here's my thing. I'm really good at barbecue, so I could barbecue anything up. But one of the best things I ever did was a roast of a turkey in the barbecue on a bit of a spit in the barbecue. I think it was one of the best, like, tastiest meals I've ever created. And what was really amazing with it was it just fell right off the bone. All the fixings, a turkey dinner with all the fixings, that's it. But the turkey would come off the barbecue. That's how it would be done.
We're coming over now.
Gotta tell, man, my mouth is watering.
Get
Keep eating, don't keep looking. That's what I was kidding.
it going. So you're a busy guy. Tell me, what's the first thing you do when you wake up in the morning?
You know what? I wish I could say something glamorous like working out, which I don't do enough of, or meditating, which I don't do enough. I get up. The one thing that I do that's really important in the day is I do a bit of visualization for the day of what I want my day to look like. And I find that component of intentionality has been a really important part of how and things that one of the important practices I have that helps me succeed is to think things through before I do them. Too often, I think we're just running through the day, man. We're not counting our hours. We're not thinking, what do I want done by this time? And one of the things I know you brought up our gala, but one of the big things about our gala is I always, and I'm lucky to have the people around me working with me to make these things happen. It's not me at all. I'm the smallest part of the picture. But I set really lofty ambitions, but I really think it through. And even though I make like insane targets and insane goals, I think saying it makes things happen, and then having good people around you to make things make things happen. So that's why we've really done well with just as that one example. But day to day, just wake up, make a list, make sure I hit them.
And I love that. And you come across as such a smooth criminal. You're very, very like laid back,
Oh,
relaxed, and calculated. So I'm really interested in knowing like what actually led you to this profession.
oh, totally, yeah. So I actually went into medicine thinking I'd do radiology. My undergrad, I was doing research in radiology. My one of my older brothers is a dermatologist. The other is a cardiologist. So the one who's a cardiologist said, do dermatology. The one who's a dermatologist said, do dermatology. So I was lucky to kind of have the chance to pivot in my medical school, do research in the labs. And once I got into having some exposure to dermatology and having some really good mentors in the field, I was like, yeah, this is for me. And the beauty of it is a lot of the things that I fell into. Initially, I thought I'd have just a strictly medical and surgical dermatology practice, but over time, I just started falling in love with what I did my fellowship in. So I did a laser surgery and cosmetic dermatology fellowship in Ottawa, and it was with Dr. Sharon Loughlin in Ottawa. And I was very lucky because I started seeing all these other sides and just that ability to make people happy and to actually do things that can change people's lives and even the small things because we do so many on a given day. And I over the many years that multiplies to so much, it's easy to forget the little things that we're doing are actually having an impact and they're making people's lives better. And my last day when they kind of had the mandate where we had to start cutting down or cutting out our cosmetic practices because of coronavirus, I was sad because I was like, are we ever going to be busy again? Is this over? Are we done with? But then every day, the number of patients who call, and this is without prompting, without us reaching out to people and saying, hey, have you scheduled? Or hey, we're ready to go when we can finally get going again. These are people spontaneously from their own hearts and their free time calling us and saying, hey, can we come in? Can we come in? So it just makes me feel like I'm in the best industry. And I think those are the things, to answer your question about how do I, guide myself or plan that out or why did I end up doing this? It's just that ability to make those impacts on a day-to-day basis. It's the one thing that gets you through and makes you really want to kill it every day.
I love that answer, and I agree with you, and that's why George and I put this platform together. We wanted to celebrate our industry, and the industry of cosmetic derm and surgery is all about putting smiles on people's faces, and those smiles are so contagious, right? You smile to a stranger in the morning, and that smile goes a million different ways around the day and makes so many other people happy, and that's why we're really embracing collaboration and helping each other get out of this awful virus in a better place. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
So that sort of leads me to my next question.
Mhm.
If you were speaking to a young doctor coming through dermatology residency,
Mhm.
say this year, what's one piece of advice or an obstacle or a mistake that you've made in your career that you would like to tell them so they could learn from something that you've done that you regretted, or something that you had to overcome to be where you are today?
Sure. To this day, I'm so lucky. I haven't had any major mistakes that I've made. I think the one advice I'd give is but one thing that I've learned from is even though you don't make a mistake, things may not work out. So my best piece of advice in life in general, and I'm really happy to share this because it's something that anyone I think who's worth anything in the field of motivation or personal, building your personal state up shares. And it's embrace failures, right? Because failures will happen and failures are so demoralizing and make you want to rethink everything, shift course, just change everything that you want to do. But failure is so necessary because if things are too good all the time, I think that's a problem. It doesn't make you resilient and doesn't help you deal with what will always be an inevitable failure. As a practical note to people, and thankfully I haven't made this mistake, but I'm seeing it made. So to that new fresh grad who's graduating, number one, don't take on too much debt. So it's kind of tough, especially in cosmetics, where I'm very fortunate. I have a pretty incredible center. We're expanding and expanding and expanding. We have beautiful spaces, and I'm seeing some people trying to take on or rush to get to that point. So they take on these massive debts. And I always tell people, make sure you have the core strong, and then you could kind of work on making the big investments. But I worry, I think, if people overextend and make massive investments.
You are somebody that comes across as super zen, super centered, very grounded. I want to ask what throws you off. Like, what pisses you off about our industry today? What sets you on fire and ruins all this incredible zen persona that I'm meeting?
Yeah. I love that question because I battle it every day. Honestly, I'll tell you, it's something that it gets to me, but at the same time, it makes me want to do better and better and better. To me, I'm like, man, this is a very simple one. I'm like, wow, I have spent 13 years after high school training, residency, fellowship, going through adversity, uh, you know, debt, loans, building something up. And then you see some people, they just, will start something simpler. And I'm lucky being a dermatologist, obviously I can offer a lot and we're fortunate to have all our offerings. So this isn't something that annoys me, but it gets to me, but it also wows me. It's when people are fresh to the industry, they just start killing it on day one and they don't have the 13 years or the major schooling behind them. To me, that doesn't, I get the question. To me, it's like, I'm kind of annoyed secretly. I'm like, ooh, but I did so much to get to where I am. But then on the other hand, I'm like, but good for them. And I love it. And that's, if that's kind of my view of things. And that's why I think that helps me also stay pretty relaxed is I just admire competition, right? But at the same time, of course, when you work hard to get where you're at, kind of like, wow, you just started and you did that. And I'm pretty sure I'm a relative baby in the field too. I'm sure people may look at me that way too and say, "What? This guy just, Although I'm getting old now, uh, I feel like I just graduated, but it's been over a decade or all decade since I did. Yeah, I'm sure people looked at me that way because we were lucky to have pretty good growth at the beginning.
So we're going to get into coronavirus in just a minute with Nathan because I think it's putting a little bit of a reset button to anybody that may have gotten ahead quickly. It's putting us all back to our start. But what do you think it is that they do differently that gets them to go so quick? Is it pricing? Is it marketing? Is it a different understanding of the industry? Is it staff? What could it be?
Yeah, I think it's incredibly good personality, and that's just it. When I reflect on literally where like looking at the competition or people who I perceive as competition, the nice thing is for me, I treat everyone as a friend no matter what. So I could see the same people out there, and I consider them friends, and we are friends. And I train my competition literally all the time. That's one of my favorite things to do is to teach. But I find the real advantage is their personalities. There's something magnetic about their personality. There's a sincerity in what they're doing. You can totally tell, and that's the thing. Like, and that's why sometimes people who do have all the years of school or training, if they were kind of just like this is their side project is aesthetics, well, that sincerity may not be there. Whereas someone who's all in, you're like, wow, that sincerity shows, and they just have a wicked personality. And I think the other thing is just being really genuine. That people can see it, the genuine nature of someone. If you're salesy, it shows. If you're genuine, it shows. And I think that's the real take home for all of that.
Amazing.
So I'm going to touch on COVID now a little bit, and we've discovered that you don't get rattled by much in this interview, and I knew that before because I've met you on several times. But
Mhm.
before the interview tonight, I was really interested in asking you this question because one is, has COVID rattled you personally, or has it rattled your business? And what are you doing to pivot around this time? And what are your thoughts on the whole topic of COVID?
Yeah, totally. I think it's hard because we are such a lucky generation, and in reality, if you know, COVID has totally rattled me. COVID has totally put a dent in such an important part of what we provide to our patients, and we've had to put a lot of really important things on hold. And in fact, we've had to put more things on hold than I think are necessarily reasonable. For example, there are people in the middle of their treatments for hair with things like PRP. We can't offer that, or people who are they've been on that journey where they had really bad acne and now they have acne scars, and we're trying to keep them on a schedule to fix their scars with lasers, but I can't offer certain things too. And then there are people who are getting therapeutics, whether it's cosmetically. Some things I think are just very therapeutic to a patient for their well-being and psychological well-being. So it's unfortunate that so much is knocked out, in addition to the beautiful things that we do on a day-to-day basis. So that's hard, but at the same time, I think what helps me get through, and I'm not always so cool and awesome and understanding about life, but when I take the time to do so, I mean, we have like cell phone. Like, if you can imagine, there are people in generations not far or long ago where the whole country would be at war and everything would be on shutdown, and the only thing you could make were bullets and machinery and weapons and supporting the troops. And here you can literally, we're lucky we have this social safety net where you can stay home and you'll have the support from that point of view. You have internet, you can be entertained endlessly for free, or if you want to pay for Netflix or whatever. So there's so much to get people through. The one thing for me that was very important was I did not. I'm a man of inertia, so I know if I shut down and decided to stay home, I may never come out again. I think it would be devastating for me and my personality. So I was lucky to keep going with my medical dermatology practice, and I have an incredibly awesome practice with great patients and I'm so happy we kept going. I'm continuing with my cancer surgery, so I'm still able to deliver and help my patients out quite a bit. And on the business side of things, we're really working on this strong pivot. And to us, it's a few things. We just want to make sure we get our house in order so that when we open up again, we are just ready to just own everything. We want to just be the best all over again and better than we were before. We want to make sure that we have all the little, I had a bunch of projects in my mind. Uh, and all these little projects that I had are teaching schools, both for lasers, both for injectables, both for skincare. All of that is being done. We have amazing curriculum coming out, and I think we can again, hopefully be the best at providing that countrywide. And then skincare, we're really focusing on making sure that whoever was used to getting skincare has provided that, but we want to have again, a national footprint with an impactful uh, uh, website, e-commerce, skincare delivery system, but at the same time being super educational on skincare. So we have something pretty robust that's happening. It's amazing how much we're growing actually on a day-to-day basis, but we have even something bigger coming out, where bigger and bigger little rollouts coming out, where I think this might have been the best thing to happen to me. I don't know. It would be cool.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, I want to end on a bit of a positive note. So I'm gonna make it a little more lighthearted here because we're getting towards the end of our interview. We're gonna ask you a bunch of quick fire questions.
Awesome.
And I'm going to want quick answers, whether it's a yes or a no or whatever it might be. I want to ask you before we go there, just out of curiosity, what's the last song you sang in your shower?
Ooh, that song for the Don't Rush Challenge? I kind of sang that. The Don't Rush.
Which one is?
That's the one where it's usually friends. Usually it's girls who are doing it, where they're looking in a mirror. They don't have makeup on. They take a makeup brush. They sweep at the thing, and then
the TikTok. Sing it for me.
TikTok. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Give me a couple lines.
Oh man, I don't remember. It was. But it's a good song. It's a good song.
All right, you ready for your question?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. So, red or blue?
Blue.
Black or white?
Black.
Cats or dogs?
Cats.
Are you afraid of getting coronavirus?
No.
Do you know anybody that has coronavirus?
Personally, yes. Or had it, yeah.
Okay. Champagne or wine?
Oh, I don't drink at all, but I'll take champagne if I have to choose. It seems bubbly and fun.
Burgers or pizza?
Burgers.
Coffee or tea?
Tea.
Stuck in isolation for 12 more weeks? Nathan or me?
You know what? I just know Nathan for a long time, man. I love you too, George, by the way.
Yes!
But it's
12 weeks would have been a good opportunity to get to know me. All right, I'll let Nathan have it this time just because I got the invite to the gala at the beginning of the interview.
Sure, man. Anytime.
Nathan's got 2 closing questions for you.
Sure.
We always finish with 2 last questions.
Yeah.
The first is, tell us your current skincare routine.
Oh, totally. Yeah. So I use the Vivier Sheer Zinc sunscreen. I use a vitamin C from Vivier as well. I use a Zio exfoliating polish, and I use the Radical Night Repair.
That's an awesome routine. Well-polished routine. Eh?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. And then the last question is, we always ask our guests, who would you like to see on our show next?
Yeah.
And can you help make it happen for us?
Yeah, man. I love, because he's such a mentor to me, Corey Torgerson out of Toronto. I think he's great. And another great one is Jonathan Lee from Calgary. I will make it happen. I'm going to reach out.
We've already had Corey Torgerson on our show.
Oh, you did? Oh, right on. Good. Awesome. Good. Jonathan Lee, you'd love it. Yeah, I love Jonathan.
And the other thing we must ask is, you need to let us know the dates of the gala, because Skinterviews would like to be there live, and we should interview you and another couple of people while we're there live at the gala.
I would love it. I don't think we have the dates formally set. I wish I did, though. Now that I knew, I should have known that question would come.
Because we could do on the Thursday night, the VIP night. We could.
I would love for you guys to be there. Yeah.
Yeah, we can do that live at the Lucere Gala.
Yeah.
So imagine that.
I would love it, man. That's going to be legendary. Legendary.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time, mate. I really appreciate it. Lots of love to you and the family, especially that little one.
Thank you.
You take care. We can't wait to catch up again. We've got a date with you at the gala in October. It's normally October, isn't it?
Right, you got it. Totally.
Yeah. We'll catch you later, and I'm going to let George close out the show.
Thank you so much for being on today. Big shout out and thank you to Dr. Zaki Taher and everyone at Lucere Derm and Laser Clinic. And the biggest shout out is to you guys that stay at home and watch us. I hope you're all still healthy and safe. And I want to thank you again, as in every episode, for all the support you've shown us during these unprecedented times. Everybody seems to be saying that right now, unprecedented times. I thought I should jump on the wagon. Make sure your families are healthy and safe. Mad love to you all. And remember, if there's somebody you'd like us to have on Skinterviews, make sure to send us a message. You can find us on LinkedIn and YouTube at Skinterviews by Nathan and George, on Facebook and Instagram at skin.terviews. If there's a question you'd like us to ask them specifically because you've seen one of our teasers, you know somebody that's coming on the show, and you want to know something, ask us. We will ask it for you. Big shout out to all of you again for watching. Thank you so much, and see you on the next Skinterviews.